Hello, everyone, and welcome to our February 2023 Denver Mortgage and Market Update. Nicole is with me yet again, another powerhouse interview coming up. I'm super excited because we're going to talk about million-dollar stuff, millions and millions of dollars stuff. But first, let's quickly tap into the market. Nicole, you and I were just talking, inventory's picking up. You're feeling it. I'm feeling it. It's going on in the market. Super Bowl's over. Buyers getting out there. Spring is here in the real estate market. But as I always do, I like to pull my special little number from the MLS, RE Colorado.
Yes.
But right now in the city of Denver, the entire city of Denver, under $1 million, there are less than 325 active units under $1 million, single family homes. Now, we're filming this, today is Thursday, if I was Tuesday, because I don't know my days anymore. It is Thursday. So more homes will be picking up as we get into the weekend, but still that's super low, don't you think?
Well, it is, but also you had Super Bowl weekend last weekend, and a lot of sellers were waiting till after Super Bowl weekend, but then it was a week late. So now you've got President's Day weekend, which is a 3-day holiday, and you've got a lot of a lot of sellers who might be either traveling, going to their second home. They're thinking there's not enough buyers. So I honestly think that it is low. I think we're going to see a nice pickup after President's Day weekend.
I agree with you. I have a listing that I'm ready to pull the coming soon trigger on it tonight. I got to talk with my sellers one last time. But yeah, I mean, we're getting ready to put another listing on the market. And speaking of the holiday weekend, after we get done filming this video, my fiance and I were going up to our place in Steamboat Springs, and that is one of our investment properties.
Yes.
I have my own personal investment property out in West Aurora. You, my friend, the queen of investment properties. How many do you have now?
24 doors. So I have a couple of fourplexes in there, and then with 2 commercial buildings.
And do you have any on tap that you want to buy this year? What's your goal every year that you want to buy?
You know, I had, so it's a great question, because I wanted to buy at least 1 to 2 fourplexes or a small apartment building every couple of years. We did redirect. So now all 3 of my kids, my youngest is 21, all 3 of my kids have their home. 2 of them bought during the pandemic. And then we also ended up buying my mother a house. So between that, and we're building a new home, it's been a little full. So we
definitely full. Definitely. Yes. And you know what, that's what I want to talk to you about when I was talking before about the Millionaire Club and stuff like that, because you, my friend, are building the generational wealth. But usually, to point out what you just said, usually you're building generational wealth down. You're starting to build it back up into your mom, which is great. I love it.
Yes.
But you have such a pulse on that type of your financial portfolio, and it can be done. I'm starting to do it too, just like I alluded to. You are already doing it, creating that multi-generational wealth. And with such uncertain economic times, with inflation, with the war in Ukraine still going on, egg prices, gas prices, what's going to be next? Who knows? It is very imperative for our viewers, for buyers and sellers out there both, to think about what can we do to secure our financial freedom moving forward. Because a lot of people like to invest in the stock market, Bitcoin, NFTs, maybe Ferraris, whatever the case may be. But think about your life, okay? What do we need to survive? Food, water, shelter, okay? Right. Now, can you live in a Bitcoin? Not really. Can you live in an NFT? Not really. Can you live in a Ferrari? Might be a little uncomfortable, but can you live in your real estate portfolio?
Yes.
Yes. And that is the key. And now, Nicole, I know you like to go camping, so you could live in your Airstream, you could live in your camper, but what kind of originally turned you on to this idea of the building multi-generational wealth and owning several investment properties?
So interesting story. And I'll give you the abbreviated version because there could be a long version as well, but it is, there are people that are born into this, like their families property managed, their families have a lot of investments. I didn't understand anything about real estate. In fact, I grew up on food stamps. I grew up with a single mom living paycheck to paycheck. She did a phenomenal job, but managing money was not one of her key strengths. And we would move a lot growing up. And so it wasn't until I turned 30 years old, got married, and bought my first house that I was literally in the home that wasn't going to change. And in fact, we stayed in that home for 15 years because I was like, I'm not moving again. So that kind of stability was something that was, I don't want to say it was new to me, but it was this concept that it was different. It was so different. And then when I had learned about investing in real estate, it took a gentleman who I was looking for a real estate agent because I'm a lender. He was looking for an investor because he had a pocket listing. We ended up connecting and he's like, hey, I've got this fourplex in Arvada. And I was like, I am not your girl. Like, I got a roof over my head. I finally have stability. My 3 kids are awesome, the whole thing. Well, he ended up, I bought that fourplex kicking and screaming is what I did. But it was that conversation that when I was 40 years old, that somebody would take the time to explain real estate in a way of creating wealth. I thought of real estate as creating stability, and that alone is worth its weight in gold. But to create wealth, well, now it opened up a door that I didn't know before. And for me to learn it at 40, I constantly sit across the table from clients who are 30, 40, 50, 70 years old, trying to figure out what options they have using real estate. Because you talked about cryptocurrency and Bitcoin in the stock market. Well, that grows. You hope it grows if your chooser works. Mine doesn't work very well in the stock market. But if your chooser works, you'll get an average rate of return of 7% historically in the stock market.
Right.
Well, if I put $30,000 into a stock market and I wait 20 years, well, I'm going to have a little over $113,000 based on a 7% rate of return. But instead, I take that $30,000 and use the power of leverage, which is something only real estate has. And I buy an asset that's worth, say, $525,000, which I did for my 21-year-old daughter. In 20 years, that home at an average, historical average, appreciation of 3.6% on the whole amount using leverage, that house is going to be worth over $1 million in 20 years. That's the game changer. I put the same $30,000 into both investments and I have a little over 100,000 versus a little over $1 million. I want that option and I want more than one, right? So how do I start to multiply that? And how do I get my arms around taking not only the first step, but then multiple steps and then setting a plan so that you know that you're working in the right order and getting the kind of properties that will get you to your goals.
Exactly. And you have a perfect class coming up that I've been to many, many times called Building an Investment Empire, where Nicole and her team sit down with you and they show you the ins and the outs. And we could go through all the ins and outs right now, but this video would be way, 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 way too long. So I will post all that information in the verbiage below this video, just the time, date, place, all that stuff, because it is a fabulous class for anyone who is looking to invest in real estate. And we're not saying to put all your eggs in one basket and put it all in real estate. I invest in the stock market. I'm sure you do as well, Nicole. Yeah.
I do.
So yeah, I mean, definitely diversify your portfolio and have a little bit in stocks. I have a second and third stream of income, but I'm also a real estate investor and I have the stock market over here and I have my full-time business of being in real estate. And for me, I bought my first house before I was even a realtor. And I knew going into buying that house, I wanted a house hack. I bought a house specifically that had 3 bedrooms so I could rent out the other 2 and then have those other 2 renters pay my full mortgage. So I knew going into that, I didn't even know that there was a term called house hacking. I just knew I wanted to do that idea, which was so hilarious. Right. But now I have turned that into, like you said, being forward thinking, projecting, thinking, okay, what's next? Staying in that house for maybe 3, 5, 7 years, but then thinking, okay, I have enough for a down payment to buy said second, maybe another primary residence, turn the first one into a rental. My last question for you, because again, we could talk about this forever, but I'll make this quick for our viewers. You buy these properties for your kids and you're setting your kids up on this multi-generational wealth. Are they picking up on how amazing this is? Do you think they get it yet?
2 of the 3 do.
Okay.
I love all 3 of them. My oldest is he doesn't like to be tied down. So he sees as being tied down. The other 2 think it's money making. So he'll warm up to it. I just have to hold him to the fire until then.
Absolutely. Anything else going on in the mortgage business before we end our conversation? Anything else you want to bring up? Anything else you want to let our viewers know about?
So I will say that right now the interest rates are going back up again. We're seeing interest rates in the high 6s. And so a lot of people are going to go, well, then I'm just going to wait But you know, you play into this conversation where you started, how limited our inventory is right now. Our inventory is limited. Interest rates are going up. Some people are sitting in the sidelines, but those who know that, irrelevant of the interest rate today, now it has to fit your budget, focus on the monthly payment, not on the interest rate, because if it fits your budget, you will gain more, because when the interest rates drop, and they will, you'll be able to refinance and your home will appreciate because there'll be more demand that comes into the market. We are going to continue to see an inventory issue all this year and probably all the next couple of years, because builders have not been keeping up. Between finally coming out of the 2008 housing bust and bubble to COVID and the pandemic, the housing starts have not kept up with the demand and household formations. So I will tell you that we're going to continue. In fact, a poll just came out earlier this week. 100 experts predict that over the next 4 years, we're going to see an average of 4.5% appreciation. Now, this first year, 2023, might be a little lower than that. And then it might be 4.5. And then it might be a little bit higher than that. But long term, especially the Denver market, we appreciate closer to 6%. Nationwide, we appreciated 3.6%. Right. All of this, with the power of leverage, provides the opportunities. That $1 million example that I just gave you, that was on a 3.6% appreciation. Wow. It does not take much when you use the power of leverage.
Absolutely. And like we said before, you know, we're starting with the spring market. Things will pick up a little bit, but to your point as well, not as much as they should be because of the pandemic and because so many people bought homes in those 12 to 24 months at such a low interest rate. They can't find that interest rate anymore. And like you said, interest rates are going to start going back up, unfortunately. That why should they sell their house at such a low interest rate and then lose that interest rate and then buy something smaller at a higher, you know, it just all the numbers. So, all right, fingers crossed. Yes. And again, for anyone who's interested in building an investment empire, I will have all that information down below this YouTube video, and also with Nicole's information, my information. Please reach out to us if you have any ideas, want to chat, want to grab a cup of coffee, talk about real estate investing, talk about building that multi-generational wealth for your children, or maybe even like Nicole is for her mom. Like, let's do it. Like, anyway, Nicole, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. And we will chat next month.
Sounds fantastic. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.